Good morning, happy Friday, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. So today,
There's a disabled vehicle ahead.
okay. So today I am going to talk about what am I talking about? Oh yes, you are your only enemy. You have no other enemies other than yourself. That's it. That's the only enemy that exists. You've heard the saying or the phrase, you are your own worst enemy. But in actuality, you are your only enemy. You are the reason why you experience everything that you experience. You are the reason why you meet the people that you meet. You are the reason why you suffer the way you suffer. You are the reason why you experience pain as you experience it. You are the reason for everything that you experience. The Creator has created a universe that allows for potentials, and you reach for those potentials and you make it manifest. That's it. And you reach for those potentials by way of the condition your soul is in. That's how it works. It's so simple. I mean, the Creator has created a system that is so simple. It is absolutely effortless. And once you realize this, once you truly not just realize it but understand it on a soul level, you don't have to work at anything. Because trust me, you're not having to work for the problems that you're experiencing. And that's how the soul works. That's exactly how the soul works. You don't have to work for it. How many times have you just been sitting at home and something happens? You know, something bad happens and you're sitting relaxing, you know, on the couch, and then you hear a big bang, and then you find out that the pipe burst in your home. You weren't doing anything, it just happened. And that was all due to your soul condition. That's it. All due to your soul condition. And the person you're with, meaning the person you're married with, the boyfriend, girlfriend that you're with, they are matches to your soul condition. You have similar soul conditions, which is why you're together. A demon could not possibly be with a celestial being because the energy is so different. It's so different. So, understand that everything that happens to you is because of you. You are your only enemy. You think people hate you? No. It's you hating yourself. It's you having an energetic, a magnet that is pulling towards you, towards yourself, a vibration of the people who are in your life. That's what's happening. The soul is an energetic magnet that just knows how to pull its frequency in.
There's a disabled vehicle ahead.
Oh, thank you so much. Anyway, it just pulls it in. It says, oh, your frequency 1457289 hertz, whatever. And then the people are like, I'm a match to your degraded soul. Let's be friends. And like, okay, let's be friends. Let's go out, hang out, let's drink, smoke. Let's go out and have threesomes and gangbangs and all these different things, because understand that a person who likes gangbangs are only going to be attracted to other people who like gangbangs. Because like attracts like. You know, you can't have a gangbang by yourself. You know, you can't have a threesome by yourself. You can't do adultery by yourself. You are a magnet, and you're just attracting people who are cooperative components to that, who are the same vibrational match as the New Age people say. That's what's happening. And so you are degrading your own soul, and you're assisting other people with degrading their soul. You guys are both in action, in harmony with one another. You are in alignment with one another. You understand? I mean, does that make sense? I know it makes sense. And I know it makes sense to the people who are hearing it, but that doesn't mean that they want to accept what they're hearing. People hear the truth all the time. They're like, yeah, that's so true. Then they turn around. They're like, oh my gosh, how can she stay with him after he's cheated on her all those times? Meanwhile, that person who's shaming the man for doing what he's doing is the friend he's doing it with. Hello. How many times has that happened? How many times have you been the one? Because I know there's someone out there listening who was talking to someone who was already in a relationship. Oh yeah, she's so nice or he's so nice, but he or she is married. Yeah. Hello? Hello? You're part of the problem. But you claim as if It's bad when someone else does it. This is what I'm saying. That sun is so hot today. You are your only enemy. You are your worst enemy. You create all the chaos and madness in your life. You know, when you do inappropriate things, when you do unloving things, when you do things that are not in alignment with truth and love, what happens is you want to conceal it from anybody ever finding out that you did it. So not only did you do the thing that you did, now you cover up that unloving thing with a lie, with concealment, trying to conceal it from people. So now you have more degradation on top of the original degradation. And this is what happens to people. This is how they become darker and darker and darker. And this is how their life becomes worse and worse and worse and worse. You know, when you look at someone on the street, a homeless person, there is one thing for sure that you can know about anybody. And that is, or anybody who was homeless or on the street struggling, is that they are in denial of their pain. That's it. That's what that represents. Homelessness represents a person who is in complete denial of their pain. They're not willing to be humble and accept it. They're able to look at it and say, oh, these bad things happened to me. But they're not able to see. Well, sometimes they're able to see it, but they're not able to accept it on a soul level. So they can say, oh yeah, you know, I've made bad choices. And understand, they're only saying that because other people have told them they've made bad choices. So they believe that this is what society wants to hear from me, and so they repeat it. You know, if someone else can see it, it's easy for you to say what it is when someone else has already exposed it. You know, because most drug addicts don't believe they have a problem until someone says, you have a problem. And they're like, yeah, I know I have a problem. And then they go around telling people that, I got a problem, I need help, I got a problem. Because now they know what to use. Now they know what society sees. Now they know that they can't hide from it. Now they know they can't conceal it. So now they say it. But that doesn't mean that they don't deny it on a soul level. So I was having this topic comes up because of a conversation that I was having on Facebook with someone. And it was regarding negative self-talk. And this person says something on a regular basis about them not being good enough. And they say it as a joke. And it's a joke because they say, I ain't shit. And this is something that is reoccurring and has been a reoccurring theme from when they were a child. So from childhood, this was said to them, you ain't shit, you ain't shit, you ain't shit, you ain't shit. And so now they've adopted it as something that they say about themselves. I ain't shit, I ain't shit, I ain't shit, I ain't shit. But they were saying it as a joke, or at least this is what they were telling themselves. They're like, oh, I joke around saying that all the time. But in actuality, if this is a reoccurring thing that is in your face like that, it's one of the biggest emotional injuries that you carry. It's one of the biggest emotional injuries that prevent you from moving forward. It is one of the biggest emotional injuries that is within your consciousness. This is something that you're absolutely conscious of, but you don't want to feel it. You don't want to acknowledge it on a soul level, and this becomes a problem. Because this denial of that truth, because understand, when someone says you ain't shit, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling when someone says it to you, and you believe because these words were coming from people who claim, or were supposed to be, who were believed to be the people who loved them, who cared for them, people who loved and cared for them. So, or were supposed to love and care for them, I should say. So this was coming from people who the child thought would be there and support them. But in actuality, what the child was getting is nothing but a lack of support. Not only were they getting the lack of support, they were being torn down. They were actively being torn down. They were actively being degraded, dismissed, discounted. This is what the child was experiencing the entire time. So as a child, or I should say, this is what the adult was experiencing as a child the entire time, feeling like felt like they were alone, they were isolated, no one cared, no one loved them. And so they grow up not loving themselves, saying things like, I ain't shit, but using it in a joking manner, but there's no way they can get around it. You have to understand that there's no way they can get around it. I've heard family members degrade their children and say things like what this person has heard. You know, get your life together. You're not shit. You're just worthless. You know, you're not my son. You're not my daughter. You're not. I've heard parents say these things. And it's so hurtful. Because in a time, or I should say at a time when a person or a child or a teenager or a child is trying to find themselves and they are trying to deal with the pain that they don't even understand, and then to turn around and hear that you're not my son and I wish you were never born, because that's what I was told. I was told I wish I never had kids. Gosh, I wish you were never born. All these things. So I have to understand what was going on with my mother when these things were being said, but I also have to understand how I was affected when it was said to me. These things are all important. They're all relevant. So as an adult, someone can say those things and I'm like, whatever. I'm not listening to that. I'm not even buying into that. I'm not buying that. I'm not spending my coins on that. I'm not spending my time on that. I'm not spending my energy on that. I'm not letting that energy, you know, come into my soul. I'm not. I can do that all day long, every day from this point forward as an adult, but that does not change the fact that as a child, I experienced something that I allowed to affect me, because those things still dwell in me, within me, in my soul. I have not released those things completely. I'm sure I do remember, you know, crying as a child because I felt like, you know, why it's like I'm hearing this from the one person, or the only person I feel is to protect me and who I felt loved me. And if I can't get love from the person I believe, all hope is lost. And that's how children feel. That's how children feel. So when this person heard this, you know, as a child, it's deep in their soul. And this is why it keeps coming up. Understand that the universe does things, and the soul is designed. The soul, let's just stick with the soul. The soul is designed to operate in a certain manner. God has created the soul to operate in a certain manner. When something is so pressing, the soul will release it. It will come out. It will express itself. Everything we do is an expression of who we are. Even the facade. Even the facade. It will come out in the facade. So as this person is creating a facade as if it's a joke, understand that there's truth underneath it. For every facade, there's a truth underneath it. And sometimes that truth doesn't want to be seen. It doesn't want to be heard. It doesn't want to be known. And so what happens is the mind says, well, I'm not going to look at it. I don't want to look at that. People call it the ego, but it's really your facade self, the facade. But the facade is not, I should say this. The facade is not a creation of the creator. It's not an original creation. It's a sub-creation, meaning the creator did not create any facades. The creator did not create any lies. The creator did not create any truths. That's something that the souls have created on top of truth to hide the truth. That's what a facade is. It's to hide the truth. Hide the truth of the pain that dwells within you. So a joke, because this came up too, a joke is nothing but a facade trying to hide the truth. The truth of what? Pain. All jokes, people, are an attempt to hide the truth, which is pain. The truth that pain dwells within your soul. But understand at the same time, the pain is a facade. The pain is something that has been believed. The pain is something that has been accepted as truth, but it is not. But the truth is there is pain within you, and that's what the joke is there to shield, to sort of protect, so that it doesn't get moved around, so it doesn't get exposed. And this is why the darkness and degradation lasts for so long, for so many generations, because it's almost like you leave a plastic something outside, and the light from the sun just over time just fades it away. It washes it out. You can have something that is bright blue, neon blue, but after so many years of being exposed to light, it's no longer that bright blue. And sometimes you can't even see any color in it at all. it's just white, it's just plastic, and sometimes it's so degraded it just crumbles, because this is what light does. It erodes the darkness, it destroys the darkness. It doesn't allow something that's untrue to be maintained, to be sustained. This is what light does. This is what truth does. And this is why people have to put covers on their car so it doesn't fade. You understand? But understand that whatever the sun is hitting, whatever the light is hitting is fading. The car cover eventually fades. The car cover eventually erodes. It kind of like it just falls apart. It has no integrity anymore, because the light has done something to it to expose it for what it really is. It has broken it down to its bare elements so that you can see exactly what it is. And so this is what happens when we create jokes. We say, oh yeah, you know how your mom, I mean, you listen to any comedian and they will tell you a painful thing. A painful thing they will share with you. Oh yeah, you know how you go into the laundromat and you're running around and your mom, pops you in the lip. That's an unloving thing that they're exposing. A painful experience for a child. A painful experience for themselves. Anytime I remember hearing a comedian talking about Mexicans, it was a Mexican talking about Mexicans. And this is how they degrade themselves. Black people degrade themselves. Hispanics degrade themselves. Chinese or Asian people degrade themselves if they're comedians. This is what they do. This is all they know how to do. And the thing is, because of the way society is set up, you're allowed to degrade your own kind, but you're not allowed to degrade anybody else. It's oftentimes frowned upon. Black people can get away with it, but that's because, well, that's a whole different situation right there. That's a whole different situation. It has a lot to do with guilt from other races, primarily European races. This is why they don't say anything, because of the whole guilt of slavery and the way black people have been treated in the past. And it is established within society that there is a huge debt to be paid. There is something that was horrific that happened many years ago for hundreds of years. And they recognize this. And they see the effects of it today. So they tread lightly on it, and sometimes they won't tread on it at all. And they'll let anybody and everybody say anything about it because they don't want to be pulled into it. They don't want to be a part of it. They're like, okay, they suffered. It's okay if they say it. A lot of people do that when it comes to people doing unloving things. They say, oh, they've been through a lot. It's okay if they act like a complete idiot. It's okay if they're unloving to other people. They've been through a lot. This is what people justify unloving behavior, because if you've been through a lot, whatever you put other people through that's a lot, it's justified. Why? Because you've been through pain. And so they're like, okay, since you've been through pain, let's go ahead and let's go way over here, because I'm not messing with the baby rig. Anyway, that's what people do. But anyway, going back to what I said about what I was saying about jokes. All jokes. I was talking about a comedian. A comedian was it was a Mexican comedian. I don't know who it was, but they were talking about how the little Mexican girls run around in the laundromat in wedding dresses, and they're talking about the little quinceañera dresses, the little dresses that look like wedding dresses. They look like wedding dresses, and they have the Sweet 15 for Mexicans have quinceañera, which is like a Sweet 16, but it's for them at 15. And I think this is like when they become a woman or something. I don't know. Whatever tradition it has or it represents, I don't know. But I know it happens. And so there's little girls who, little 5-6-year-old girls running around in these little puffy princess wedding dresses. And the joke was they running around like that in the laundromat with tennis shoes, like little sneakers, and that's the norm. That is the complete norm. And the thing is, the Mexican comedian was poking fun at it, because that is not the norm in terms of fashion for a kid. It's the norm for the Mexican fashion acceptance or whatever. They're okay with it because it happens all the time. It happens all the time, but that's not what the majority of society accepts, and this is why they were making fun of it. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with the little girl running around in a little puff dress, a little tutu or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. Wearing a dress that looks like a wedding dress or a prom dress or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. If the child wants to run around like that, it's fine. But they know that other people frown upon that, and so they pointed it out. They made fun of themselves. And this is what I'm saying, like, it's not, every joke that you hear is not in love. It's not in love. If that's what you're using to laugh or to get joy from, or not even joy but pleasure, if this is what you're looking to do, you're severely degraded. Now that's not to say that you can't laugh. Let's say you were running with a friend, and you both fall, and you just fall out laughing because you guys experienced this together. You're not degrading anybody. You're just laughing because you know, like, this is a mistake that we made together. Like, how can we do this? And the reason why that happens is because you know you can do so much better. You know, it's like, I laugh all the time when I make a mistake because I think it's hilarious, because I know that I can do so much better. And it's like, well, what's going on? You know, with me, it's like, what is this? Like when I I bumped my my shin on the fan, and it kind of, you know, moved some skin around, I should say. And I was like, oh, that, you know, kind of stung. And I was like, I wasn't watching what I was doing. I wasn't paying attention. And the thing is, it's my fault. It's like I was dropping the ball. I wasn't on point. You know, and that's funny because usually I'm on point. I like when I'm on point, but when I'm not, I'm like, this is so funny. Like, what's going on here? Why am I acting in such a way that is producing this pain? You know, and I have to look at it. I'm like, okay, what silly move did I make? What silliness am I experiencing right now? Like, what am I not seeing? What am I not realizing? You know, because we all believe ourselves to be these smart, intelligent beings, right? We're like, okay, yeah, we're the pinnacle of God's creation. We're smart, and we're this, and we're that, and we're capable. But then when we make these tiniest, smallest mistakes, it's like, how funny. I'm so intelligent. I'm so bright. And I'm making these silly mistakes. This is what happens. This is, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you can't be down on yourself, but acknowledge it. You know, it's not laugh and forget about it. Just laugh and acknowledge that this is happening, but have a desire to fix it. Because when you don't have a desire to fix it, you make the same mistake again. You're like, oh, haha, ignore. Oh, haha, ignore. Oh, haha, ignore. That's not what I'm saying. And it would not be in your best interest if you did that. So anytime you have a joke and you're condemning yourself or condemning another, you are operating from a degraded place. Your soul is flawed. It's something you need to recognize if you want to improve yourself, if you want to stop making these types of mistakes, or these small mistakes, or any mistake. Damn. Hold on. Damn. Oh, God. This stuff makes me so nauseous. Hold on, I'll be back. Okay, I think it's recording again. Woo! That skunk came into... I had my vent on fresh air, so it was just pulling everything from outside, and it just hit me in my face. I'm like, whoa! Gosh, that skunk is so strong, and it makes you... Wow, great defense mechanism, but Jesus. I didn't do anything to you. Anyway, jokes. You know, anytime you use a joke, anytime you joke around, understand you are making fun of yourself, you're degrading yourself, you're putting yourself down. And one of the responses that the person gave me was like, is God so serious? Like, and it's not about being serious. It's about looking at it from God's perspective. If you look at it from God's perspective, you will see that joking really isn't necessary. Joking is not something that you need, because, oh, the people are fighting over there. Oh my gosh. What the hell? I don't know if you can see it over there to the right. I don't know what the hell. I don't know if he tried to, what the hell? That lady kind of broke it up, whoever it is, but they sure were going for it. It's behind that Audi over there. They were all in the bushes just wrestling. Crazy people. See, look. It's too early in the morning. Not for them. Look, darkness is alive and well in many places. Many places. So, one of the things, she said, is God so serious? Like, does God not have a sense of humor? Of course God has a sense of humor, but there's no need for joking. If you look at it from God's perspective, this is so important to understand, people. If you look at it from God's perspective, God looks at all his children as being perfect. They're already perfect. They may not be exuding their perfection, but they are perfect. Meaning every soul has a capacity to be back in the sixth sphere condition. Meaning each soul has the capacity, has all the tools, has all the tools, and everything that is needed within the soul in order to get itself back into a state of perfection. A state of perfection where joking is not required. See, joking is only required when you're degraded and your life is so miserable and you have to make jokes about things in order to create some type of laughter within your life. Does that make sense? That's the only reason why jokes are needed, is because we're so degraded. But if you are in a perfected state, there is no need to look at imperfection and make a joke about it. There's no reason to take imperfection and turn it into something that you can laugh at. Because that's what a joke is turning an imperfection into something you can laugh at. But when you're perfect, there aren't any imperfections. So what are you going to take as an imperfection to make into a joke? There's nothing to joke about. Do you see? You're just living life. You have everything that you desire. All your needs are met. There are no flaws. You're not going to cut your finger. You're not going to bump your head. You're not going to bump your leg. You're not going to stump your toe. All these things are not going to happen to you because you're in a perfect state, a sixth dimensional state. The same state that Adam and Eve were in when they were first created. A mon and a man. Once this is in place, what do you have to pick at in order to make into a joke? Nothing. Therefore, jokes are completely irrelevant. Jokes are only relevant when you are degraded, when you have a lack of love within yourself. So what happens is you take those experiences where the lack of love exists or is present, and you try to take it and like, ha 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 ha, look how stupid we are. Ha 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 ha. Look at how dumb we are. Ha 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 ha. Look at all the mistakes we make. Ha 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 ha. Look at when our mom used to beat us across the face in the laundromat. Look at when we used to wear clothes and people used to make fun of us and make us feel like shit. Like, this is what happens. So it's about understanding it from the Creator's perspective. Look, I've said it so many times, it's about understanding. This is the power of understanding. It's not just knowing that things are happening, it's understanding why they are happening. And I'm so privileged, I'm so honored to be able to know and feel and see these things, and not just see it for myself, not just know it for myself, not just have it as an understanding for myself, but to be able to make these videos regardless if only 4 people watch them, because that's 4 people who are watching them, or 7 people who are watching them, or 14 people who are watching them, or someone who's watching it 3, 4, 5 times, who's trying to get the message, who's trying to understand, who's trying to get a better understanding. It's worth it. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be able to be in a position, to be in a space to do this. Some people will look at it and say, you know what, he just running his mouth, bumping his gums, bump, 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 just talking out the side of his neck, and that's fine. But I also understand those who would say something like that is in a dark place, and they can't get what the person who's watching the video is getting. They can't get it. They can't get it. Therefore, they can't benefit from it. Understand, anyone who rejects anything, whether it's who rejects information, so let me just say that it can be true or not true. But anyone who rejects the information cannot benefit from the information because they are rejecting it. Whether it's false information, or I should say whether it's information that someone would deem as, oh, that's negative, I don't want to hear it. Okay, well, someone tried to tell you about the negativity of the man you're trying to date, but you don't want to hear it. So when he starts beating your ass and you're wondering what the hell's happening, understand when someone tried to present you information that you thought was negative about another person, oh, you'll end up understanding what it all is about. Trust me. Because that's what the universe does. It provides information. It warns you. But not only does it warn you, it gives you the tools so that you don't have to experience that warning. So if someone says, hey girl, watch out for this man, because look, it happened with Portia Williams on New Real Housewives of Atlanta. They were telling this chick, look, let me tell you, they were telling this chick, they said, look, watch out for him, girl, because he has a girlfriend and he's been dating all these people and he has this girl's name tattooed on him. And she's like, what that mean? That don't mean nothing. He has my name tattooed on his body. And it's like, at that point, people were like, oh, we just can't help her because we're trying to warn her. We're trying to help her. We're trying to give her the information so that she doesn't fall into the trap. A trap of what? A trap of what happened. Now she's a single baby mama. There's no father in the picture. No father in the picture. That's it. That's it. That's all. That's what people were trying to warn her about. They said, don't date him. He's real trifling. He sees other women and he's always cheating. And she's like, no, but he loves me. He loves me. He does everything for me. He's kind to me. And if you really look at the show, she trapped him. She trapped him. She tried to trap him. That's the thing. She tried. And this is the unloving part on her part. Nobody ever talked about it because we don't talk about women doing these things, but they do it all the time. She purposely got pregnant. And it was like, surprise, I'm pregnant. And she thought that was going to hold him down. But let me tell you, someone who doesn't want to be held down won't be held down, no matter what you do. You will put yourself in jeopardy. You will put yourself in harm's way to get what you want, to manipulate and trap someone, to unlovingly do something to someone that they don't want. You'll do something where they're completely unaware of it, thinking, oh, I'll get him like this. I'll keep him like this. And he was like, oh, yeah, baby. Once that baby came, once that baby came, I don't even know if it was before or after, but I know once the baby came, he was out seeing somebody else. Just like that. And so they have her beginning episode or season 12 with her baby by herself with no man. The one that she said, he loves me. The one that she said, oh no, that was about them, but right now he's with me, so that means everything. That's all that I need to know is that he's right here. Who cares about the other women? Now, she's just like the other women. That's it. That's all. So, I don't know how I got on that, but I know that's just crazy as hell when I look at it. Because I saw it coming from before. From before, I already knew what she wanted. I knew she wanted the money. She wanted the lifestyle. That's what she wanted. I don't know if she got it. Because I think they're still married. I don't know. They were engaged. I don't know if they were married. I'm not sure about them. But yeah. That's what happens. So when we look at these jokes and we look at these facades that we present, understand they're unloving. They're completely unloving because it's hiding the truth. When, like I was saying, when people try to warn you and they don't want to hear it, that's you ignoring the truth of what really is, because you can't see past what you want. And sometimes what you want is so unloving and it's unloving to you first. When you are being given and told the truth, when you are being given and told the truth, it's your responsibility and obligation to yourself to accept that truth. No matter how discomforting it is, no matter how disconcerting it is, no matter how painful it is, no matter how hard it is to accept, It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to... I know, these people just a bunch of assholes. I know it. Oh, here comes the homeless man again. And here he goes. It's just the way of life. No, sorry, not gonna happen. I got so distracted by all of that. See, because I was involving myself in something that did not have anything to do with me. Just to tell you what the truth is. Look at all this food. Oh, look at all this food. All this food. Look at all that food. He's been eating all that stuff, so it's not. He keeps saying he hungry. He hungry. He hungry. He want money. 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 There is no Jack in the Box around here. You know, there's no McDonald's around here. It's just a way of life, people. And if that's what you want, that's what you want for yourself. But you don't have to support anybody's way of life. Loving. If it's loving and truthful, you have to support it. You better support it, because if you don't support it, that means you're not supporting love. If there is someone who is living life in love and truth, you are obligated to support that. Not obligated because God says so or the universe says so, but for your own soul. For your own soul's sake. Support love and truth wherever you see it. Because for every person who supports love and truth, is supporting love and truth. And that affects the soul in a positive way. If you condemn someone who is living in love and living in truth, you are going to pay a price. You are going to suffer. You're going to pay the price. You're going to suffer. Because you're not in alignment with the universe. You're not in alignment with love. You're not supporting love, and you're not supporting truth. If you don't support someone who's living in love and truth, you're not supporting love and truth. It means you're supporting something other than that. A lack. You're supporting unloving behavior. You're supporting lies. This is what you want to see. You want to see degradation. You don't want to see someone thrive. You don't want to see someone do well. You want to see someone suffer. You want to see someone struggle. Because this is the opposite of supporting someone who is living or attempts to live in love and lives in truth. This is you have to understand, you have to look at it for what it is. It doesn't matter what your opinion is, what your view is. It's about what is actually happening. Because if it's not one thing, it's another. Oh my gosh, that's a song. If it's not one thing, it's another. It don't go like that because I haven't heard it in so many years, but I know my mom used to listen to it all the time. If it's not one thing, it's the other. That's how it works. So we have to support it when we see it. When we see someone do well, support them. That gives you brownie points. That increases your soul in love. It progresses your soul. When you see someone struggling, offer to help. Say, hey, look, I see you're struggling. Would you like some help? If they say, hell no, get the hell away from me, guess what? Get the hell away from them. Don't force it, and don't be angry because they don't want to change. They're not obligated to change because of you. They're not even obligated to change because God has a desire for them to change. They're not obligated to do anything. They're not obligated to answer to anyone. They're not obligated to answer to God. They're not obligated to answer to the universe. This is not a thing. So why make it a thing? Why get mad when they don't want to listen to you? Why get mad when they want to do their own thing? You have to respect someone else's free will. Out of all the people I talk to, all the people who ask me for help, all the people who ask me for guidance, all the people who ask me for clarification, when they ask me and I give it to them and they want to do something else, I keep it pushing. That ain't got nothing to do with me. That's their drama they want to keep in their lives. That has nothing to do with me. But it has everything to do with them and how they choose they want to live their life, the experiences that they want to live or experience in their life. It doesn't have anything to do with me. It only has something to do with me when they came and asked me for advice or asked me for guidance, asked me for counsel. That's it. That's all it. That's the only thing that had anything to do with me. It was out of my hands after that. The universe put them in my path, or put me in their path for them to ask. They got the answer. They didn't want the answer. They didn't like the answer. So be it. Some people like clam chowder, some people don't. You can't get mad at someone because they don't like clam chowder. You know, some people get mad because they don't like clam chowder. You don't like clam chowder? Oh my God, it's so good. Like, people get mad over the craziest of things. And the thing is, people who get mad, they just have anger within them. They're just using any excuse to let it out. Because people who are angry, they don't like the anger. The soul does not like having anger within it. The soul does not like having pain within it. So it finds it's like a pressure cooker. It finds any and every opportunity to release it, to get rid of it. Because it's not supposed to be in there, and it doesn't feel good when it is in there. This is what I know. This is what I've come to understand about the universe. This is what I've come to understand about the soul. Regardless of if anybody believes me or not, this is what I've come to understand. This is what I see happening, not only within myself, but with every other person, every other soul. How can it not be true when it's happening to every other soul that I see? It's not about what I think about it. People think, oh, well, what's your opinion about it? What's your take on it? It's not about my take. It's what God's take is. What does God think about it? What does God feel about it? What has God programmed the universe to know about it, to understand it? How has God created and programmed the universe to respond to it, to rectify it? That's what's important. Because you don't want to be rectified in a negative way. You want to be rectified in a positive way. And the only way that it's going to be a positive way is if you choose it yourself. That's when the pain isn't felt. When you choose, when the soul chooses to do the loving thing, the truthful thing, the pain is not there. There may be a pain felt of the releasing of the lie, the releasing of the untruth. It's like, okay, you got a splinter in your hand. Now you have one of these prickly things in your finger. That hurt, but it's only hurting because there's something that doesn't belong there. So when lies and emotional injuries are within your soul, it doesn't belong there. But as long as it is there, it's going to hurt. You're going to feel its presence. Anytime something happens, someone blows on it. Someone barely rubs it. It's like, ah, that hurt. And you have a response to that. A response to something that's not supposed to be within your soul. A response to the degradation that's not supposed to be within your soul. A response to the pain that's not supposed to be within your soul. A response to anger that's not supposed to be within your soul. A response to rage that's not supposed to be within your soul. That's all that is. But when you pull it out, you're going to feel it, baby. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. It's going to hurt coming out. But understand the work that you're putting in to get it out. It's like having a same scenario. It's like having a splinter in your finger, where's the cactus or from a piece of wood. There's a splinter of something in your flesh, and let's say it's deep in there and it's not poking out anywhere. You got to get the tweezers. You got to heat up the pin, make it hot to sterilize it, and put alcohol and dig in there to get it out. Some of the emotional injuries that we have are so deep within us, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of pain in order to get rid of it completely. Sometimes you try to get it out and it breaks off, and you got to dig deeper and deeper, but you got some of it out. So when you release an emotional injury and you think, oh, I cried and let it out, no, you got a piece of it out. But there's more lodged in there, and it's deep. And sometimes you can't do it on your own. Sometimes you need help. Sometimes you can't figure out how to get it out because it's too deep. So you go to the doctor, and you go to the doctor, and you go to someone, a nurse or a doctor who can get in there. Maybe they have to cut it open and get it out. But that's no different than asking a life coach, or asking a pastor or a preacher or a reverend or a deacon or a teacher or a counselor. Hey, I need help on how to handle this emotional thing that I can't seem to get out of me. That's why you go to a therapist, so you can talk and let it out, let it out, let it out, let it out, let it out. And before you know it, it's all gone. It's all gone. But it's not going to be gone when you say it's gone. It's going to be gone when you realize it's gone. You're like, oh, you know what? I haven't been triggered anymore in so long. I haven't experienced this bout of depression in so long. And the circumstances still surround me, but I don't feel the same way. I don't feel as bad. Wow, that therapy really did help. I didn't even know it was helping, but it helped. I'm a completely different person. I just realized I'm actually doing the things I love to do. This is how it works. But when you say, okay, I want to go to therapy 20 times, I'm going to buy 20 sessions, I'm going to go to Energy Healer, I'm going to buy 20 sessions, I'm going to do this, and then I'll be good. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you may buy a whole bunch of sessions and it may be within 10 sessions. It's because many people have different things, different severities of emotional injury, different severities of splinter, different type of splinter. It's deeper in people than other people. This is how it works. This is how we do it. This is how it works, people. So understand that everything that ever happens to you is because of you. Your pain and suffering is because of you. It's not because of your parents. It's because of your parents, but it's in your court now. The ball is in your court. Before you were born, you were a clean slate, baby. You are a clean slate. Nothing is wrong with you. You are flawless. But as soon as you incarnate, as soon as you come into your mother's womb, all this shit is just on you like white on rice. It's just on you. And there's nothing you can do about it. But at some point you get to an age where the ball is completely in your court. And you can choose to get rid of the things that your parents gave you that are unloving. And you can choose to not do unloving things to add more degradation to your soul. You can choose this. This is all about choice. The Creator gives you a choice. Sometimes the Creator moves you from the family you were born into and in a different family where you have the opportunity to release this. All kinds of things happen. All kinds of... Babies have desires too. Babies have desires too. They desire, I want to feel this. I want this. I want this. I want love. I want connection. So you're removed from the family who gives you no connection and into a family where connection can be had. This is how the universe works. There's no reason to question it. It works every time, the same time, all the time. You can always count on it. It's dependable. The thing that isn't dependable is a degraded soul, because it wants to shake and shift and jive and do this and do that and duck and dodge to avoid all kinds of things, never allowing the opportunity or never allowing the universe the opportunity to give you what you need in order to improve yourself. You all shucking and jiving and doing this and that and the other to try to avoid the very thing that the universe is trying to show you so that you can improve yourself, because you are the only one who can improve itself. The soul can only improve itself, but it has to be willing. It has to have a desire for this. If there's no desire and you constantly want to run, you constantly want to drink, you constantly want to smoke, you constantly want to smoke weed, you constantly want to do this and that and the other, you constantly want to just have multiple women and multiple men and multiple sex partners and multiple this and multiple that to keep your mind distracted with pleasures, understand that as you reach for these pleasures, it will be increasingly more difficult to have these pleasures played out. To have these pleasures, these addictions in your hand so you can experience them. That's how it happens. It's the same thing with the diabetes. Diabetes comes from people who were not loved as children or weren't able to express their love as children. And so they reach for the sweetness of life. But understand that the sweetness of life is love. So when they're lacking that from a human being, they try to find the sweetness in physical objects. And that physical object is sugar. It's sweets. It's candy. It's cakes. It's pies. It's all of these things that make you feel good. That's what love does, is it makes you feel comforted. So you reach for these alternatives in physical form because the soul that was, or the souls that were surrounding you as a child were not present, that were able to deliver this comfort of love, the comfort of receiving love, the comfort of giving love. So what happens? People constantly try to use the alternative to love, which is all these sweets, and then the body says, stop, I can't handle it because I can't handle receiving love. and I can't give love, so I can't handle the sweetness of life. I can't handle these things that we're reaching for pleasure, because like I said, it becomes increasingly more difficult to have the pleasures from these things. So then you become diabetic and now you can't have it at all. And why? So we can show you that this is what's lacking in your life. You cannot process love. You cannot receive it, and you cannot give it. That's the truth. That's what diabetes is. That's what diabetics are. People, souls, who are incapable of either receiving or giving love. Now, most people can give and give and give, but understand they're only giving because they're getting something in return. Praise. Oh, this person's so kind. I'm dying of diabetes, but I want to give this to you because I like when you say good job. I like when you say thank you. Because that's the part that you didn't get when you were a child. It's not complicated. It's not rocket science. But you do have to have a desire to see this in order to understand this. Hello. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful Friday. And I will talk to you guys later. All right. Bye now.